Hello there, and welcome back to the FRODO YouTube channel. My name is Will. With me today is Jack.
Back again.
We don't normally do reviews, but we figured seeing as I saw the Batman the day it came out, just saying, and Jack saw it, we thought, hey, why not review it? I feel like I've got a very different opinion to this film that a lot of people do. I'm just saying it out the bat.
Pardon the pun. Out the bat.
Out the bat. Oh, I said.
Did he do
Oh
it?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna let Jack Batman begin his review. Because Jack absolutely loved it, because he put on his Instagram thing, he's like, oh, the best Batman film, or something he said. So yeah, what you think this is the best Batman film?
Like, I can respect Nolan's trilogy, and I like them for what they are. But this is the most accurate version of what would happen to Batman in the situation I think that he went through, and especially it being only a year 2 Batman, where he's in his beginning training as well, and almost not like a child. He's not a child, but a lot younger. I can see it as being the most accurate representation instead of basically being like Patrick Bateman Playboy. That's what I liked the most about it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I see what you mean. So I think I'm not gonna try. I'll try not to do a spoilers for the first 5 minutes. I'll put a timestamp here on the screen
Because then we can start getting into it.
Yeah, this is just general thoughts at the moment. My thoughts when I left it, I thought it was alright. Like, that's all I can say about it. It was okay. It was good. It wasn't. I'm not like. So I left it. I saw it with my friends, and one of them said that was the best Batman film he's ever seen. One of them really liked it, and I feel like, did I not? Am I getting something wrong here? I thought it was just okay. It was good.
Yes,
Like, it was fine. That's the best way to say it. It was a fine film. It was a good film, but it wasn't amazing.
At least you're not taking the view where you're like, because there's some people which are like, what have they done? Like,
no, it's still good.
What I like the most about it is, and I'll probably agree with it, it didn't feel like a Batman film. Like the first hour, I said to my mate, I don't really talk in films. I actually whispered to him. I said, "This is the best Batman film I've ever seen," because it felt like Seven. If anyone's seen that film, you've seen Seven, haven't you? And it was shot like Seven, exactly the same as David Fincher's Seven. The rain, the constant darkness, and the first 5 minutes was like a horror film.
Yeah,
it felt like it as well.
Yeah, so like, I should probably say I really liked the first hour. I think up until the point where there's we're trying to keep it non-spoilery for the moment.
Yeah, because I can't really talk without it going into spoilers.
Forget the spoilers. That's just our non-spoiler review is 30 seconds long of us just speaking. So spoilers from now. Okay, so I really liked it, as in I thought it was really, really good up until the point where I think it was after the scene where the guy had the bomb collar attached around his neck.
The DA, one of the DA.
Yeah, and then after that, it started to just fall short a little bit. The best way I can describe it, how I feel about it, is, well, I used to go to karate classes when I was younger, and the teacher used to say it's all well and good doing the katas and the forms and learning the routine, but if you don't have that oomph, it doesn't mean anything. And that's, to me, is this film. It looks good. It's done all the parts. It ticks all the boxes, but it just doesn't have that oomph. It's missing that oomph. Like the final, I'm cutting right to the end. The ending it just felt, it didn't have that oomph for me. I didn't feel like, yeah, come on, Batman. It was just like, meh.
Do you know what? I'll do a thing here. If we've got a bit of time, I'll go through what I loved about it, and then I'll go through, because
I'll do as well. We'll start with what we loved, and then we'll go through what we didn't like.
What we also need to remember is, I think it's the best Batman film, but then when you say I don't think it's like the best film ever. I will go into the main downfall of it, and I bet you'll agree with the main downfall.
The Bane downfall?
Yeah, the main downfall.
Somebody said the Bane downfall. There's no 12 of us in the wreckage.
I was wondering what would break past.
That was me 2 hours and 58 minutes into it. I was just like...
Well, we'll get to that, because that's the one thing, and there's probably like one or two things I didn't like about it. Positives of it, but I think that's the most realistic represent. I love Robert Patterson as an actor as well. I think he's probably one of the best actors in the world right now. His range, the way that he portrayed Batman, I think was the best. And the route they went with the narcolepsy, him being a nocturnal creature like that, he was a better vampire than he was in Twilight. Like, in the sense, he literally was. But like, it played to the character so well. The exhaustion, like him deprived, like him rooted on justice from what happened to his parents.
It wasn't justice, it was vengeance at that point.
Vengeance of it, and he emphasised that by saying it quite a lot as well. But
I'm vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
I know it's year 2 of Batman, but that's what, as soon as I realised that, I avoid trailers for this, that's what it was focusing on. It just worked so well, and it was the best, I feel like it was the best representation of the way he acted, how he almost was a little bit like socially disconnected. He didn't know how to act in situations, the way he would stand and stare. I know like it did it for his eye capturing, but that wasn't just that. He didn't know how to connect with people. Again, him holding Alfred's hand in the bed, he didn't know how to love either. I think it was the most delved out version of Batman. That's one of the points.
Okay.
But let's get.
I agree with you in this. It's the most developed Batman, because Bruce Wayne doesn't exist as a person. He's just a character that Batman plays. But I feel like what they're going to do, because I've heard some people say that Bruce Wayne isn't in the film, in the sense that he's just like, when he's not in the suit, he's not the billionaire playboy that he is in the other films. But I think that's what they're going to develop into in the sequels, because there's that scene with Andy Serkis when he's Alfred and he's like, you got to think about your legacy, Bruce. And he gives him the ring and it's got all the cufflinks, it's got the W on it. So I think that's when he's going to start thinking like, hey, maybe I need to start carrying on my father's legacy, so I'm going to be Bruce Wayne now. And I think that's what they're going to do in the later films. So I do understand what you mean. As Batman, he is really cool. So I think we should start off with that actually then. So what do you think of Robert Patterson as Batman?
It's just, there's so many bits I could like note on that. The way that he would, the way he would stand and enter the room. He's such a good physical actor, and the way he would just look with his face, and that's when you know you've got a really good actor, because if you can act with those, whether it be prosthetics, we get onto prosthetics about other characters, because he wasn't even my favourite character, to be honest. When you can act without having that range or talking, you know it's a brilliant performance. And I think the way he would just stand and look, it was almost like a perfect detective role that he played as well. Like,
that's what Batman is. He's the world's greatest detective.
Exactly, but you don't get that. I'm sorry, you don't get that with the Nolan ones. I honestly just don't get any of it.
When he's looking to analyse the bullets, but
when I say it like that, I mean it compared to this. That's when it just blows out of the water.
Yeah, he goes to crime scenes in this. He talks to witnesses and analyses clues all the time.
There's so many subtle bits right at the beginning where he walks by the bit and he notices a red dot, and then the photographer's like, "Oh, okay," moves on. Like he's just slowly like walking around analysing. Like he's so methodical, and then like he approaches, and then like it just felt when I was watching him. It was a lot more when I saw Bale in Batman Begins, because he's a lot bigger as well. He's a lot more daunting. He does look more physical as well compared to Rises and that. But I wasn't intimidated by Batman, or more like surprised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had a presence to him in this one, like with his stature, and it's not about being big, just the way he conducted himself as an actor.
Like the part where he walks, when you first see him, when he walks out on the subway. Let's talk about that part. I really like that opening. When it's just like they see
all the bit.
Even if you're a guy who just like litters on the floor and you see the Batman logo in the sky, you're going to be like, oh god, and just really run and pick it up. I like that.
Happiness is like over the.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that, but it's like how everyone.
That might be our criticisms.
Fear is the motive of Batman at the moment.
We could do this for hours, I think, in the sense of you hearing the cat scream?
No.
I can tell his face is against the door like that, and he's like, meow. We could talk for hours probably, because we're delving into different things. I'll just try and say some positives while a minute, because his performance also contributes to the choreography, because I think that was the best fighting.
Yeah.
And Batman, because I think the Bale ones are actually hilarious. If you watch some of them, you type in compilations of Christian Bale fighting, there's bits where he's not even punching anyone and people fly, and it's just elbows going like that. This one contributes to the character of Batman. The way he'd flow into punches and take punches, and like young, and like he was almost like a rookie and use his gadgets.
And get shot as well.
The most, take the shots as well. He felt the most like Batman, and that's just, again, that can link back into Patterson's version of like the Dark Knight almost. He was more Dark Knight than Bale's, because the way.
I don't know, because I feel like what this Batman's missing is that sense of mystery. I think what makes Batman so cool as a character for me, because I know there's so many, like every 10 years Batman completely changes as a character, so it's hard to say what he originally is. What is he? Because it's the 60s version of like G. Willikers Robin, the Riddler's the Clue is so different to like a Rachel in Dark Knight Rises.
Even you just saying bits of it makes me cringe out thinking of the Nolan's ones. Like it's just.
But what was I saying? I forgot. No, because you said he's like the Dark Knight. I don't think he is the Dark Knight in this, because he's not that covert. Like he just turns up at crime scenes. He's with Gordon a lot. Whereas
he does a lot of stealth work and operation.
He just walks into a club at one point. He's like, "Do you know who I am?"
Binoculars and scouting.
But like he's like the whole point. What I like about in the Arkham games, the whole point of that is the thugs should never see what Batman looks like, because you're like in the shadows, and then at the end of the Dark Knight Rises, when they have the statue of Batman, it doesn't look anything like Christian Bale's Batman, and the point of that is no one knows really what he looks like. It's just supposed to be this thing that just comes out at night. That's why at the beginning that's why I like that, because like no one knows who he is, no one knows what he looks like. He could be anyone, he could be anywhere, but then he just kind of just walks into a crime scene. He's like, hello, which is fine, which is cool. It's not a big grievance, but for me, I like Robert Patterson. I think he looks like a cool Bruce Wayne. I think he could be a little bit beefier, because the whole point of Batman is he's meant to be a brawler. He's meant to he's climbing buildings. But it's just a little thing. Doesn't matter. But I think he's a really good casting choice. Interesting to see what he does in the future. We'll stick to characters, I think, for now. Catwoman, or I've got to say, Zoe Kravitz. That's my review of Catwoman done. Zoe
Kravitz was brilliant in it. I think she was again. She played a perfect Catwoman, like that seduction and like the charm with like the. Again, had some the script was another thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the lines in that, the way it just stands there, and it's again like his social awkwardness, which was brilliant, because it's more realistic than him being like. You said in the later films he's going to delve into that suave Bruce Wayne. I think he'd be more public with helping the new mayor and things like that. But I don't think he's going to be like how he is, like Patrick Bateman style. But the way he just slowly responds and takes fingers. A lot of cats. She's like, got a thing for strays. Like it's just the dialogue and chemistry with the script, not just for them but for everyone. There were some really good bits with him and Detective Gordon as well. I think all the characters were fantastic. We still haven't even talked about the best character yet.
We'll segue on to Gordon. I think good choice, Jeffrey Wright. I think he's great. I really liked him in Westworld. I think he's amazing. His Gordon didn't really get to do much, which is a shame. But hopefully he'll get to do more in the next ones. Because he's not commissioner yet, is he?
I don't know.
He's never commissioner in the beginning of the first Batman films. He's always Detective Gordon.
Detective or startup, yeah.
Yeah. They will go on to the Riddler, or as I like to call him, the Diddler.
The prisoner. Literally, you've seen Prisoners, haven't you?
Yeah. He's kind of the same character, wasn't he?
Little bit, yeah.
Well, Paul Dano's great. He's amazing.
He is really good. He is really good.
He's scary when you first see him. He's just standing behind that guy. Yeah. That was creepy.
It's a positive and a bit of a criticism. I think as it got on, I would prefer him not to speak as much, and I get that they were pushing the point of almost doing it like social justice sort of like warriors and sort of the people that hide
like
in the dark web. Yes, yeah, I get going. But I liked him at that first, as I said to you, the first 10 minutes of the film, I was genuinely going to sit there and I was like, this is absolutely unreal. The way he waits and then the delayed, and like he just sort of hits into him clumsily and tapes up. His character is scary to begin with.
He reminded me of Leatherface.
Yes. He literally did, in the way he'd attack and hurt people as well.
Well, it was a mixture of the Zodiac Killer and Leatherface.
It was almost like that methodical thing where like he was so like poor as well, but like he didn't want like the hair and that, like you just tape up the crime to make him so clean as well. Like it was different. Yeah, I really liked it,
because the Riddler's meant to be like you always see him in like that suit, that suave suit and the cane and the question mark suit, and he's like, I'm trying to be the smartest guy in the room all the time. That's his thing. But I liked him. I thought he was really cool. I think your favourite character is the Penguin.
Oh God, it was
forget about
because when this first came out and got announced, it was like Colin Farrell, and I was like, what? Like I actually did when I first announced it. I was like, are you serious? And I sort of forgot about it a bit, and I saw like I didn't see like a proper trailer. I saw like a little clip bit, and it showed some people in that, and Okay, that's fine. We can't wait to see what he's going to be. And I didn't even pay attention. And I started watching it. I was like, okay. And I was like, where's Colin Farrell? I mean, I was like, okay, fair. And then I realised, and I was watching, I was like, he's Penguin.
He's
I was like,
so
this
good,
amazing character with this voice. I would just one with Dad. I wish he had more screen time.
Well,
I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Guess he's going to be the villain in the second one then, and the third one. He's going to be the Penguin because he's taken over the Ice Bar now.
Yeah, it's
going to be the Penguin.
He's just the first thing. Amasi, like the way he'd act, like.
Well, he's different because in the Gotham Arkham City games, he's like some English Cockney geezer. It's like, I'm the Penguin.
Yeah.
And these are from the Bronx.
That scene, I think one of the best scenes. Again, we're branching into every single bit, but it's a bit with the music going in the nightclub like that. The pacing of that scene was just extraordinary, and then the cut up like that, everyone draws on him at the end, and he's just like, Amasi. Like the way that his character acted in that with Falcone and set up the whole situation, the dynamic side narrative as well. He was top class every bit. And the way he holds his Mac 11 and sprays it is just the best angled shot. And there's another scene as well which we'll get into, which is quite a big production scene with him.
Oh yeah, it's in the trailer
later on. The vehicle scene is brilliant.
Yeah. So what did you think of the plot?
I thought the story was really good, and I like the way that they delved. The Riddler, I knew it would be a good story arc about him tracking and tracing the roots and figuring it out, and the cat and mouse game. I liked that because it didn't feel like a Batman film. It felt like a Seven detective serial killer chase film with elements of Batman in it, and fighting, and really good characters, and over-the-top music. That's what accompanied it so well.
See, for me, I agree with everything you say, but like I said at the beginning, it was missing that oomph. I feel like it was like 7, but like the 7's around the wrong way.
And you didn't have the package at the end. I get what you're saying.
Not even that. It was trying to be 7. Like even to the point where it went into the house and it's got all the John Doe notebooks and his creepy house area. The plot, there was a lot going on, and I felt like it was too long as well. It was just struggling to get this. Like, I'm sure the director had like this really like cool idea in his head, and he just couldn't quite execute it. Because even though I was a bit like
Matt Reeves, isn't it? Or Matt Smith?
Matt Smith, Doctor Who.
Smith,
Matt Reeves, yeah. And
that's, you delved on something. We're getting to a big criticism of it as well in a minute.
But yeah, I felt like it was just trying too much. I feel like it could have been like maybe just focus on the Riddler a bit more. And like there was part of the story where there's a part where he says like and then we found out that Thomas Wayne hired Falcone to kill someone, and it's just like it just comes out of nowhere, that piece of dialogue. And I thought that's a big moment in just Batman lore, that Thomas Wayne's actually a bit of a bad guy.
It's to break up that narrative, to try and put him, like, make Batman lose his mind a little bit, that he's not like fighting for. I know, because all you get is him with his top off, don't you? With like running mascara, crying a little bit, like maybe my father wasn't a good man, you know. And it's like, this isn't vengeance, yeah.
And Alfred's like, he was a good man, Bruce. You gotta believe he wasn't good. He wasn't good. He wasn't a baddie. And then that's just it. And then, but because that could have been amazing. They could have been like, it could have made an internal crisis of him, Batman, because the reason why he becomes Batman is obviously because, well, it's not the reason, but one of the motivating factors to him becoming a vigilante, stopping crime, is his parents getting killed. And if he finds out it's because he thought they were doing good for the city, and if he finds out his dad wasn't a good guy, but could that just make him stop being Batman and just cause an internal crisis of what am I fighting for?
They arced it and stopped it a little bit because they were like, look, it wasn't a power thing. It was to protect your mum, and I swear, he didn't think he'd kill him. So it did like try and protect his story a little bit. I know what you mean. It still is a bit like, why would you hire a mobster like that?
Well, not even
you
that,
know he would kill him.
In terms of script writing, it's just a convenient line written by Alfred. It's like, I haven't told you about this before, but I'll tell you now, and we're never going to mention it again.
Yeah. No, I agree. As we said, at the beginning, when we was like, yeah, it's the best one.
I didn't say that.
Again, it's not me saying. I said that. It's not me saying like, oh, this is the best film. I'm the 10 out of 10 thing. I'm saying it's a good film, but like, out the other Batman ones, because then when I start thinking about the plot to the other one and some of the massive like plot holes in those ones and the writing and that, I then compare it to that, and I'm like, Well, it still is. I get what you're saying. It still is a downfall to it, but it's not picking at straws. But you are right. It's not something like. I didn't think it was game breaking. It was a bit like, oh, I'm getting some with the criticisms as well.
Like there's some part that's just like, and then like, going back to the Thomas Wayne thing, it could have been cool if they like the city turned against Bruce. Because it's like you're one of him, you're Thomas Wayne's son, so then they turn against him. So it's like he's one of the villains who are like spreading the lies. But nothing cool happens. It just turns into the Riddler somehow in a town where there's a lot of high terrorism going on right now because of the Riddler. He somehow managed to park 7 trucks around a seawall and no one noticed. And it's just like, oh, and by the way, guys, there's 7 trucks with bombs around a seawall. It's not.
They could have used that covered up that he had his 500 people to do it.
Yeah, but it's just lazy writing. How it's just out. By the way, this is going to happen, and it starts the next act 3. It's like just build it up a bit, just write it a bit more. It feels like the guy had a good story of how the Riddler wants to kill Bruce Wayne because he's jealous that he's an orphan who turned out good, whereas the Riddler's an orphan that turns out twisted and messed up, and by doing so he thinks he's going to get Batman on his side, but he can't put the two together that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But no, yeah, as a plot, like I said, I think it could have been a cool story if it was worked out a little bit more. It tries to be like Seven, it tries to be like Zodiac, which is fine. There's a lot of dialogue scenes. I was a little bit tired, I was very tired when I watched it. I watched it at 10 o'clock, and it finished at 1 at night.
See, this is.
I don't know if that impacted my ability to watch it.
We'll mix it now, because I think we should say it, because I keep trying to say it. Like, I'll say it. The film's too long. I openly admit that as well. It's 3 hours long, and it could be 2 hours 15. You could cut a lot of it out, because there is a lot of things where it's like, I'm going to the club now.
He goes to the club 3 times.
Falcon, yeah, and then I've got to go back there now. Like, they could have done that one bit. There's another specific scene with the Riddler, like with that bit at the end of Arkham bit at the table. I think he could have interrogated him there. Maybe at the diner or something, give him space.
Cool if he told the police to leave.
Grabbed him across the diner thing, like with his hands, and started doing it like that. Like, there's lots of little bits, so I'm picking it like that. But that's another contributing factor. It's 3 hours long. My mate Jake, who liked it as well, he was falling asleep because he was saying there is bits in it with the dialogue, but it doesn't also help that people need to be aware when they go watch this. Like you said, I went at 7, and I like at 9:30, like I was going to work. You have to remember like times to watch it, because you'll be so tired, and then if you're tired, it's going to affect your viewing experience without you even realising it. Yeah. But I agree, the film is too long. That's one of my biggest criticisms.
I was nodding off a bit when there was the part when Alfred was in the hospital.
And the Batmobile started up, and then woke up. I don't know if in your screen, yeah.
No, that was good.
I'll delve in with that. We've lost the structure a bit, like good and bad, but I think it works with us just flowing and talking about it.
Well, I said my bad point. The plot is the only thing I have that is bad.
Okay, so that's a good thing, really, because the rest.
Not really. The plot is what makes the film.
Again, I disagree. I think the plot's good for what it is, and I take that with a pinch of salt that it's a Batman film. So I go into it like that. When I go and watch a Marvel film, I don't expect like cinematography to be outstanding. Yeah. So that's what I took the pinch of salt with, and I think literally it's ironic you said that. The first hour, you said that. Good. I swear to God, when I come out, I said the first hour was incredible. It was a set up with that, like the serial killer, the club, moving to the club with the music, the fighting, introducing these characters, these fun, vibrant characters, and I was like, oh my God, this is. I was almost going to be like, it's not just a good Batman film, this is an incredible film. And you're right, it felt like it's got a free trilogy film to work with, so you could have worked with it, but they felt, right, let's rush quite a lot in, add more, and then the story like dampened out a little bit. I agree. There is some things, but I give it leeway because the type of it's a superhero movie, isn't it? Really.
But then you say that it tries to be like Seven. It tries to be like Zodiac, which Seven's one of the greatest films of all time. So it's like, yeah, it's just a superhero film, but it tries to be more than that, and I think it fails at that. Oh yeah. Okay. What do you think of the Joker at the end? I thought it was. So when I heard him talking, because the guy had quite a high voice, I was thinking, this sounds a lot like Jared Leto. And I thought it was going to be Jared Leto.
No, when I first thingied it, because I heard about clowns, but the way he looked, it had the side of it, because you see his face a bit, with a bit of scar. I thought it was Two-Face for a second.
I think if they're going to do Two-Face, it'd have to be Harvey first.
Yeah, that's what, because I was like, what is...
Because he's Bruce Wayne's friend.
I don't have an issue with it yet because I can't judge it because you saw a little bit. It's like 2 minutes. If they want to try and delve in the next one, if the character comes in the next one, and it's terrible, then I'll judge it. But it's a little snippet of it. But
I wonder if it was just the studio being like, you gotta tease the next one.
I still want to see Dr. Freeze in the next one because everything's flooded.
The Ice Age.
It started like a serial killer film. I was like, what is he gonna do next? That's what I was constantly thinking in my head with Patterson's Batman. And the way that elevator scene in the hallway, he comes out and takes those shots while he's moving through and fighting. It was like Vader from Rogue One.
It was like the Raid mixed with...
It literally was like, he had that, like I'll quote it, that scene, which I think was one of the best scenes, is when the twins come to the door and they're like, hey, what you doing? You know, it's like, he fights his way through it and the music's like, building up the red scene. And the way he comes in and the way he's fighting and getting hit and hurt, like he's fighting, countering fighting, and then that introduction to Penguin, you meet Catwoman. I felt like I was sitting in my little seat and I felt like I was in the club, or I felt like I was really in their world. One of the biggest criticisms the film gets, and the specific scene, is the car chase scene, because people are like, what's going on?
I got it, I knew what was going on.
Yeah, no, I've actually seen people
on,
review it, and they're like, what is it stupid? What pan? I need a master shot. So it was going.
Yeah, but
I think all the scenes at night work perfectly, because I don't think he's sleeping. You know what I mean? It's delved into like him just being a night creature. It's there he is blurry and going. You can see what's going on, but it's quite fast paced and action. I think it drives into that thing of it being night time.
You're watching it from the Penguin's point of view, and the point of, like I said with Batman, is you don't know where he is. Yeah. So you're just the Penguin driving along, and you're thinking like, have I got rid of him? Where is he? I have no idea where he is. And then it's like, boom, you see him, and it's too late. That's why you don't know what's going on, because Penguin doesn't know what's going on.
I just think it works so well with that like nighttime aspect, him being like in insomnia, he can't sleep, and then I love the narration as well. I've never heard that film. I just really like that explaining. It felt like a Seven or sort of like a crime thriller thing. You know, it was like we had to move on this district. We were losing track of like it felt like
entry.
Yes, and you know, not notice he writes exactly the same as the Riddler. They're like exactly the same, like Nocturnal Creatures. Everything was the same, and I love those clues left. I honestly, much as you said, there was issues with it. I think it was the best Batman film, bar none.
Okay.
It was so fresh. That's what it felt like. It was so unique. I was like, I'm not getting any more. Look. It felt like a completely different film.
Okay. It is definitely up there. I feel like the plot of the Nolan films is better, but I feel like the world of this one is better. In that, because I like Batman Begins more than I like The Dark Knight, and the reason for that is because Batman Begins feels like Gotham, whereas The Dark Knight just feels like Chicago or New York.
Yeah, it just that's what I did say. Batman Begins I like the most out of them.
Yeah, like the fighting, the choreography, the world, the characters is like I've played I think I played all but one of the Arkham games, and they're incredible. And this really reminded me of the Arkham games, and I think that if they want to start doing Batman right in films, as in like really accurate, they need to start copying the Arkham games, and they kind of are. Like the Penguin is very kind of a similar kind of character. Batman's kind of similar in how he's like a brawler. He gets hit, and he's just rough and just brutal when he fights. I liked that aspect, but then they came to the plot, and it was just too long, and it was quite weak, and it was just trying too much, and the ending it just lacked the oomph, and I just wasn't that. Come on, Batman. I was just a bit like, when it ended. I want to talk about the music though. The Batman theme.
Brilliant. Yeah, I really liked that. I honestly did. Yeah, I really like when he was walking out of the car towards Penguin. Was just like they're like iconic shots of like the series. You can tell, like like in a few years, people have that bat piece tattooed on them. You know, like the flaming car of him walking out like that.
In every uni student's wall, the poster of that.
It will be, and it's just testament to the character of like how well that one's done, and like how much the reception, like it's the way it's shot obviously, but it's Patterson, honestly. That I can't. That's the question we'll get to in a minute. Where you rank Patterson's on your.
It's too soon. I think it's too soon.
It's too soon.
Because I haven't seen him as Bruce Wayne yet, and you've got to play both. You can't just play one. So I can't.
We have seen him as Bruce Wayne. That's what I quite like. Is it?
No, Bruce Wayne's a character that Batman plays. If that makes sense. Yeah, Bruce is Batman, but Bruce Wayne is fake, and I haven't seen that yet.
Bruce Wayne that we see in the Christopher Nolan films. How would you describe him?
Perfect. he's the perfect Bruce Wayne, isn't he? He needs to be so ridiculous that no one can believe he's Batman.
What would you describe the character of Patterson right now?
He's just, at the moment, when he's on his own, he's just an empty, depressed shell, which is what Batman is. And there's no separation
Batman in
between
both
the two.
situations.
He's just Batman at the moment. Well, to an extent, like when he's in public and at the funeral, Bruce Wayne would have turned up to that funeral in like a Rolls Royce and got out with a girl on his arm and gone in and sat down, not realizing that it's like a sad situation, and he would have done that deliberately.
I think what they're going to do in the next one, I don't think he's going to ever be like that. Seriously, in this trilogy, I do not think that he's going to delve into that Bruce Wayne. I think they're going to take a fresh take with this.
Do you think he's going to turn into a Thomas Wayne?
Yeah, he might. Honestly,
okay.
I think he'll still be a recluse, and he's still like the mayor's going to think, and he's going to still turn up to events, and he's still like work his way through the Gotham scene. There'll be a thing with corruption at the Wayne Company in the next two, or the next one or third one where they're taking over. But I don't think he's going to be like Patrick Bateman, because that's what it was like. It was just that take of, I know what you're saying, it's right, but that was the bit I hated the most about the Batman films, and I know it was an act, but it wasn't an act really, because Bale.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but it wasn't, because even when he was at home, and it wasn't like that. He was still acting suave like that. He was even behind closed doors with Alfred.
I disagree.
Well, I agree.
I want to go back to music, sorry, because in the music, it reminded me of like a western, like
yes.
This Batman is kind of like a western bounty hunter vigilante. How like when he walks, it's like spokes walking. It's like close up of feet, like he's not Tarantino style, but like in the westerns when that you see the feet are there and they're about to draw, and then like if you listen to the soundtrack, I listened to it again just now, not just now but before. It's like a bell dinging, like when there's like at 12 o'clock we draw, and then you hear like the guitar where it's like, I don't know how to describe it, like a western. You know it, you hear it, you think, oh, that sounds like a western.
Yeah.
And it's a mix also I found with the funeral march song, which is like dun 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 dun.
Yeah, it literally is. Yeah, it's like a dawning and like something's coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the shots in that were
death.
People waiting for him to come, and he would come. Yeah.
It signifies death. That song is like your death is here.
Come.
I wonder if they'll change the theme for the next one, because that theme's all about like death and there's destruction.
You see, that's what I'm excited the most about, because like, that's what we said there. Like we disagreed with. Like you're like, okay, you can't wait for him to become Bruce Wayne. Like I want them to sort of. It does seem like he's took his own reign and took like elements of the comic book, but I want him to make it how he wants. I don't mind him still staying a recluse and still being like that. I want him to do what he wants with it, because it's one of those ones where I was speaking to someone like Spider-Man. We've had so many. I think we've had 3 Spider-Man. This is probably the most. I think we've had 6 Batman film adaptations. As you said, every single one has been, like you said, Bruce Wayne being that playboy character. You might be putting it on a little bit, but he still relatively is like that. But you put on a front. This one we haven't seen him like this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Out of all the adaptations, I want to see them not just now fall into that. I want him to take a completely different path. I want to see him get worse.
Do you think
I want something to happen in this next one and get worse? Alfred get like executed, and then it goes even worse. I want to see like they'll get worse. Like, I want it.
He's a crazy man, Bruce, in this film. Do you think I kind of know what you mean, in the sense that if you watch the 70s and 80s, I don't know if it's 80s, Superman films with I was about to say Keanu Reeves with Christopher Reeve, like when he's Clark Kent, he's all bumbling and a fool, and that's a deliberate choice, so as no one suspects he's Superman. But when Henry Cavill plays him, he's not so much of a fool. He's just a bit more of a normal guy. He's a bit more sincere and kind. But to be fair, you don't really see him as Clark. But do you think that's what they'll probably do? But I don't know, because it's like he has to be that character, so as people don't suspect anything.
That's what. So he hasn't been.
He disappears for so long. He comes back, and then Batman comes back, and then it's like, oh, who's it? Put 2 and 2 together. And he does it to protect Rachel and everything.
But I don't think, because again, you got all the crime families things. I don't think they'll be able to far fetch and get that leap just from that. To be honest, if he is still because he is showing his face. He shows his face in this one. He does go out. He doesn't like it, and it's like almost like forced to do it, and has to wear his sunglasses because he just can't go out in daytime. But I don't want them to go for, and I don't think he would. To be honest, I don't think he is going to. I honestly believe that they're going to take a different approach to it because this is the first one which has been different. That's why I got excited. That's why the first hour I was like, my God, they can do something special here. That's what I'm most looking forward to. It's almost like I enjoyed it so much because of where I think it's going to go, and that also affected my viewing of this film.
Okay. So final thoughts then, let's wrap up.
Okay. Well, I love the music. The fight scenes were the best fight scenes in it. I thought the story was really good for what it's worth. I thought the characters overall as a collective cast was the best out of any Batman film, especially with with Farrell, I think was the best. Yeah, and I loved its uniqueness. Too long, and some of the dialogue was drawn out, but I thought overall it was best edition.
Yeah, I thought the cast was great. I thought visually and audibly it was stunning. I think it's the film you have to see in the cinema because it was incredible. But yeah, I thought the Riddler was great. I thought everything was. The fight scenes were great. It really reminded me of the Arkham games, which I really like, and I think they should push that a little bit more. I just thought the plot was a bit weak. It was a bit too long. Some stuff turned up that was like, that's a bit weird. Maybe that shouldn't have been in it. But overall, it's a fine film. Fine film. I couldn't have made it.
But go out and watch it in the cinema. I keep saying this with some films. There's films like certain cinema classics and films that they will film in a certain way and have audio in a certain way that you need to see in the cinema. And it's not just me plugging cinemas. And I'm not sponsored by any cinemas yet.
The scene I'm thinking of is that when the Penguin's car crashes and then Batman walks out and the music's blaring and the visuals are blaring.
Yeah, nightclub scenes, all of them in the club 77 or whatever it's called, the hidden club. What's the hidden one called? The Players Lounge.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was Falcone as well. So can I mention about Falcone? He was fantastic. I can't remember the name of the actor, but all of them. He was a really good actor who played Falcone very well.
Yeah. What would you rate it out of 100? Seeing as we rate things.
What would I rate out of 100? I would give it an 80.
Oh, that's quite low for you.
Is it?
Yeah, you were saying it's amazing.
If it had a bit more horror in the beginning bits, I think maybe.
Oh, I was going to give it a 78, so quite even in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to lie. When the second one comes out, I'll watch it. It might be pretty good. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye.
No.
Batman.